Stevie J should be charged. Mary J. Blige should also be charged. Jennifer Lopez should definitely be charged. Jay-Z should be charged. Khaled should be charged. Rick Ross should be charged. Usher should be charged and tried with him. Or for Justin Bieber alone.
If I didn't say anything, you would interpret it as hip-hop is fine with his behaviors.
This is the story of how one rapper spent close to 20 years telling the world something was wrong with Sean Diddy Combs, and how an entire industry picked silence until the silence became impossible to keep.
He would do a lot of foul shit, like behind the scenes. He would do some foul shit, like he ignoring, like doing things with people I'd done business with that he done business with. He would say shit that I was like, he said that to you?
Right.
Like, yeah, so all right. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and niggas don't know what they like till they see somebody with it. So they want the girls after you're done with them and shit.
Yeah, leftovers.
Yeah.
They take your leftovers. A lot of niggas, I'm all up.
Curtis 50 Cent Jackson didn't just produce a documentary about his longtime rival. He forced hip-hop to answer a question it had been ducking for decades. Who was protecting Diddy, and why did they do it for so long? The starting point here is 2006, when 50 Cent put out a diss track called The Bomb. That record wasn't standard rap beef material. On the track, 50 alleged that Diddy knew who was responsible for the still unsolved murder of the notorious B.I.G. back in 1997, and that kind of accusation went beyond a punchline because it touched one of hip-hop's deepest and most painful wounds. After that, the relationship between the two moguls changed permanently and never went back to neutral. Small cracks had been showing before that. A 2002 Biggie remix featured 50 rapping, "I run this city, I don't dance around like Diddy." 3 years later came a clash over the artist Mace, when 50 tried to bring the bad boy rapper over to G-Unit, and the deal fell apart over what 50 described as unreasonable terms from Combs.
There's something I like Puff?
Sometimes you like him, sometimes you don't. You ever,
what's not to like about him?
No,
like,
ever since Mace, you always had a bad taste in your mouth.
He was a sucker on the Mace project because he know what he did. Look, there was things said, me, him, and Jimmy sitting there, right? Yo, Playboy, yo, I thought, you know how we going Tiffany Cole right now. We pick up something, they ain't gonna say nothing. They gonna send us an invoice later. They gonna let us walk out. That's what I thought you was doing with Mace. I thought you was taking him on tour. When you come back, you gonna take care of me. I said, oh, it ain't nothing. So I just waiting for you to take care of me. I was like, what you looking for that? He said $2 million. I'm like, Mace ain't worth $2 million with $2 million in his pocket. Is you crazy? The principle is more important. Look what he do. When Jimmy gets all antsy, because right now he don't know we having a meeting to talk about him actually going. He getting flipped the other way. He was going the whole time. I know you wrote these records. You think I don't know who wrote the records? I don't know this kid. I got you to do this thing. You kidding me? He's clear that when the disrespect comes from game angle, he's going, I know you fixed it.
The Bomb took all of that simmering energy and turned it into something that would play out for 2 full decades. What followed wasn't an explosion, though. The feud moved sideways into red carpet jabs and Instagram trolling and liquor wars. Diddy partnered with Ciroc Vodka in 2007, and 50 Cent countered with Effin' Vodka in 2014, launching a #NoPuffyJuice campaign that mocked Ciroc as fake luxury. Diddy, for his part, played it off publicly. On The Breakfast Club in 2018, he told the hosts,
I'm a nice guy.
Yo, why are you and Fifth just...
Hey, yo.
Why y'all not...
Hey, yo, I don't have no beef with
I don't know why.
With Fifth. He loves me. He loves me.
Do y'all really have a beef?
I mean, y'all can't see it.
No, we can't see it.
Y'all can't see that he loves me?
But see...
You really, hold on, you really think that's hate? When you really break it down, you've been out here a long time. You know he loves me.
I don't think he like you.
You know he loves me.
I don't think he like you.
Okay.
Meanwhile, 50 Cent turned trolling Diddy into practically a second career, posting memes, captions, and jabs about everything from his dancing to his business ethics. The real empire 50 was building, though, had nothing to do with vodka.
I haven't had issues with Puff. I don't like him like that. Like, I don't like things that he would do.
Right.
And make me uncomfortable.
So we're speaking on Diddy. We're speaking on Puff.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't have that thing where, we ain't had no thing. I wasn't sending nothing at him, big. If it was on the street side like that, we would be actively doing things to each other.
Right.
And we wasn't doing that, right? So it gets to, with Jay, definitely not that. That's definitely not, it's just being competitive. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I look at it, I go, whoa, so I always go into what would I do in a situation like this? Like when that type of thing happens, like, And I'm going, I don't know. I hope things are all right for him internally.
Speaking on?
I mean, at the crib. Because in the statement they mentioned his
you talking about Jay?
His daughter
Gotcha.
would, being old enough to, because she about 13.
Right.
So it's the same age as his kids.
In 2014, the same year he launched Effin', he executive produced Power for Stars, and that show became the network's highest-rated series of all time. By 2018, he had reportedly locked in a 4-year overall deal with the network worth around $150 million. Power spawned 4 spin-off series and turned Curtis Jackson from a rapper who acted in movies into one of the most prolific producers in premium cable television. That transformation from musician to media mogul is what gave him the infrastructure and credibility to do what came next. November 16th, 2023 is when the ground shifted. Cassie Ventura, Diddy's former girlfriend, filed a lawsuit accusing him of rape, sex trafficking, and years of violent control during their relationship. Both sides reached a settlement within 24 hours, with Ventura later confirming in court that the amount was $20 million.
Overnight, hip-hop mogul Sean Combs settling a bombshell sexual abuse lawsuit filed by his ex-girlfriend, fellow singer Cassie. Cassandra Ventura writing in a statement, "I have decided to resolve this matter amicably on terms that I have some level of control. I want to thank my family, fans, and lawyers for their unwavering support." Combs, known as Diddy or Puff Daddy, adding in his own statement, "I wish Cassie and her family all the best. Love." The settlement just one day after Ventura accused the singer of rape, domestic violence, and sex trafficking, citing controlling behavior that she says lasted over a decade while she was signed to Diddy's record label and the two were in a romantic relationship.
The speed of that settlement didn't calm anything down because more lawsuits followed fast. By December, Diddy posted a statement on social media that read, "Enough is enough. For the last couple of weeks, I have sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation and my legacy." Those words would come back to haunt him. By December 7th, barely 3 weeks after the Cassie lawsuit landed, 50 Cent announced that G-Unit Film and Television was developing a documentary about the allegations, with proceeds going to victims of sexual assault and rape. His production company had already been working on the project for months, looking for people close to Combs who would come forward.
The bombshell announcement amid the mounting lawsuits against Sean Diddy Combs. Houston rapper 50 Cent announced yesterday that he's the executive producer of a docu-series about the sexual assault and abuse allegations against Combs. The series will also discuss the sex trafficking and racketeering charges Combs is facing. The series is expected to make a premiere on Netflix, but a date has not yet been set.
50 Cent moved on this faster than the federal government. March 2024 brought the raids. Federal agents hit Diddy's properties in Los Angeles and Miami, seizing narcotics along with more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. 50 Cent posted on X within hours. "Now it's not Diddy do it, it's Diddy done. They don't come like that unless they got a case." 2 months later, CNN released the 2016 hotel surveillance footage that showed Combs kicking, punching, and dragging Cassie Ventura through a hallway. The video was damning and unambiguous, and Combs responded with an Instagram video saying he was disgusted and took full responsibility.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life, but sometimes you gotta do that. I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it, I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy, and go into rehab. Had to ask God for his mercy and grace. I'm so sorry.
The arrest came on September 16, 2024. A grand jury indicted Combs on 3 felony counts: racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Agents picked him up in Manhattan that evening. Bail was denied, and Combs was sent to the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. 1 week later, Netflix announced it had won the bidding war for 50 Cent's documentary, and the project became one of the most anticipated true crime releases in recent memory. Here's where the story of who's above Diddy comes into sharper focus. 6 days before the arrest, on September 10th, cameras had captured Combs in a hotel room at the Park Hyatt in New York, talking strategy with his criminal defense attorney, Mark Agnifilo. This footage came from a videographer Diddy himself had hired to document his life for a potential redemption documentary.
Just or not guilty. Like, I want to have a life to be able to live. It's really going to be hard for me to take more hits than I take it.
You didn't do anything wrong on any front, and you've come to New York to face things head on. If anyone's ever paying any attention to what you've actually been doing, you've handled this with complete honor. We're losing sight of the big picture, man. It's the middle of September, and there's still no indictment.
Bro, then you have to have a spokesman. You have to have some sort of comms to constantly be pushing that, Mark. It's dealt in the dirtiest of dirty business of media. And propaganda.
50 Cent later watched that footage and told Netflix interviewers he was documenting himself on his way to jail. How the footage ended up in 50's hands became a saga of its own. Diddy's videographer, Michael Oberlees, explained in a statement to Rolling Stone that a substitute freelancer had covered for him for 3 days while he was out of state, and that freelancer was the one who released the material. Diddy's team sent a cease and desist letter to Netflix before the premiere, accusing them of using stolen footage and calling the project a hit piece driven by a personal vendetta. Netflix called those claims false and maintained everything was legally obtained. The federal trial ran for 8 brutal weeks, starting in May 2025. Cassie Ventura testified for 4 days, walking the jury through a decade of abuse, forced drug use, and coerced sexual performances Combs called freak-offs, where she was made to have sex with hired male escorts while he directed the entire thing.
The focus today is a lot on these freak-offs, and what's happening in the courtroom right now is that the prosecution has presented 7 still photos of the freak-offs. Let me tell you, in terms of some of what's happening, when the attorney for Sean Combs opened his binder that had these photos, we're told that Combs leaned up and got a little bit out of his chair to get a better look at these particular photos, and the jurors seemed in rapture about them, looking very intently at them, taking notes. This is the kind of thing that Cassie didn't want people to see, and she has said it was what Combs had threatened her with. He says, we have a full screen of, she said, it is horrible and disgusting. No one should do that to anyone. It could ruin everything I worked for. I wasn't supposed to be on those videos. I didn't want to be in them. And she was so afraid, again, that this was something that Combs was going to reveal, and she essentially was saying that she didn't fight back and didn't leave because of the threat that these videos might come out. Kate?
Rapper Kid Cudi took the stand and told the court that Combs had organized the firebombing of his car as revenge for Cudi dating Ventura.
I felt I was calm. I was there because I had to be. Like, I first they asked, I said no. They asked again, I said no. Then I got subpoenaed. And I was like, but then I thought about, when I was up there, I'm here to support Cassie. And, Cassie is my friend.
Former employees, hired escorts, and longtime associates all came forward. Prosecutor Christy Slavic spent 4 hours and 50 minutes delivering her closing argument, telling the jury that Combs used power, violence, and fear to get what he wanted, and that he counted on silence and shame to keep his crimes hidden. On July 2nd, 2025, the jury came back with a split verdict: not guilty on racketeering, not guilty on sex trafficking, guilty on 2 counts of transportation for the purposes of prostitution. Sentencing came on October 3rd when Judge Arun Subramanian gave Combs 50 months in prison, a $500,000 fine, and 5 years of supervised release. Prosecutors had asked for more than 11 years. The defense wanted 14 months, which, with time served, would have meant walking free before Christmas. Combs addressed the judge before sentencing, calling himself disgusting, shameful, and sick, and asking for a chance to be a leader in my community again. Cassie Ventura's victim impact statement cut through everything. Nothing about this story is great, modern, or loving. This was a horrific decade of my life, stained by abuse, violence, forced sex, and degradation. Sean Combs' The Reckoning landed on Netflix on December 2nd, 2025, and the numbers tell the story of how hungry the public was for this. The 4-part series pulled 21.8 million views in its first 6 days, making it the second most watched title on the platform that week, trailing only Stranger Things Season 5. Rotten Tomatoes critics gave it a 90% rating. The series featured the never-before-seen hotel footage, interviews with former associates and alleged victims, testimony from former Bad Boy co-founder Kirk Burrows, who claimed Diddy ushered Biggie to his death by keeping him in LA when he wanted to fly to Europe, and interviews with 2 jurors from the federal trial speaking publicly for the first time. And that's where the larger question comes in, the one the video title asks, who is above Diddy? Because the documentary made one thing clear: Sean Combs did not operate alone. His behavior required enablers, quiet witnesses, and an entire industry infrastructure that chose to look the other way for decades. The people who attended his parties, who profited from his access, who stayed silent because silence was easier than consequences. 50 Cent addressed this on Good Morning America when Robin Roberts asked him why he took on the project. His answer landed hard.
Do you think that hip-hop culture was on trial as much as Sean Combs was?
Not all. Look, if I didn't say anything, you would interpret it as hip hop is fine with his behaviors. There's no one else being vocal. So you would look at it and just say, because that mind your business, or let me not say nothing about nothing, or those things, it would allow the entire culture to register as if they're for that behavior.
What's your intent with the series, with the film?
I mean, I think the intention is to give a more full-bodied experience to what happened, you know, from the people that agreed to sit down and to participate. And I feel like the film asks a lot of questions, you know, maybe more questions are asked than answers given. And I think that it was important to both of us to preserve the culture of hip hop, because I think all too often when projects like this are made, our culture is diminished, you know. This is a story that I think a lot of people want to kind of rain down on the culture of hip hop as a whole, and they forget that these are the actions and the allegations of one man. Sean Combs has a lot of things that he's going to continue to have to work out, but he also contributed to the culture, and that was also important. So I hope that the takeaway is that sometimes things are, you know, it's more than meets the eye, and there's a lot of layers, there's a lot of nuance to stories, and I feel like we tried to put all those layers in as much as we could.
50 Cent connected the dots even more directly in 2024, telling US Weekly, "I'm the only person in hip-hop culture who has produced any hit television. Why wouldn't I be the person to produce it? And I'm not on the tapes." See, some of the people who have been around in the culture who are not saying anything, that's because they've been to the parties, and they don't know what part of their experiences are on tape, so it keeps them quiet. That explanation reframed the entire industry silence. It wasn't just loyalty or fear of Diddy, it was self-preservation. People kept quiet because they didn't know what the cameras had captured, and that fear kept the whole system locked in place. The numbers around the civil cases paint an even wider picture. By October 2025, over 70 civil lawsuits had been filed against Combs, alleging sexual misconduct. Attorney Andrew Van Arsdale said his team had heard from roughly 3,000 people with allegations and was actively investigating another 100 potential cases. witnesses. Some of those accusers were minors at the time of the incidents they described. The scale of the allegations alone suggests a network of activity that stretched far beyond one person, and 50 Cent made clear he wasn't finished. On December 10th, 2025, he appeared on The Sherry Show and dropped the detail that 140 hours of raw footage had been recorded, with only a small portion fitting into 4 episodes.
Now, because this is a lot of the personal footage of Diddy. It shocked a lot of people. And I know, 50, the way you run, this cannot be all that you have. Is there other stuff that you just have not shown?
Yeah, well, everything couldn't make it was 4 episodes.
Right.
So it was a lot. You had to pick and choose things. Like even in an area where he chooses to date people who he knows previously dated someone. He has a baby by a woman that was dating Tupac.
Wow.
To add to it, but we had to cut it down so it couldn't.
For time.
Yeah.
So are you coming out? I know next year is going to be a number 2, season 2.
I just put it on YouTube.
I just put it on YouTube. Well, we can subscribe and get it. I love it.
Later that day, he posted on Instagram, correct 140 hours of footage. I don't understand why he filmed himself, but I'm glad he filmed himself. The people supporting him will very quiet when more comes out. The implications sat there for everyone to read. Whatever remains on those tapes involves more than just Diddy, and 50 Cent is holding the cards. When critics labeled him petty for producing the documentary, 50 didn't dodge it.
What's your opinion on people that just say that you're petty? Are you petty?
I accept that. I'll take that. I'll wear that. I'm fine. Like I have antics that I've become comfortable with on social media because of the usage of social media. That's just that. You know what I mean? Like, but when they look at, they'll say, me deciding to go on ABC is petty. The morning show is the biggest show. Yeah. These people, they came from. It's a great opportunity to be on that actual platform, but they looked at it further and said it's airing in prison, so this would be why I would like to do that. And it didn't come across as a reason not to. Of course, I was aware that it would be airing.
That response captured something about his entire approach, a willingness to own the pettiness while insisting the substance was real. After the documentary hit #1, he pointed back at the doubters.
The docu-series, Sean Combs' The Reckoning, #1 on Netflix, ahead of Stranger Things. I mean, it is more successful than I imagined people even thought it would be. What's your response to how well it's doing?
But they did characterize it as a hit piece in the very beginning, is because they didn't get a chance to watch it, when they were saying that. And then after they see it, you see everyone's changed their mind, and it becomes the #1 dog.
50 Cent isn't a clean messenger, and that matters to the full picture. Accusations of domestic violence from ex-girlfriend Daphne Joy surfaced in 2013. His relationship with his son Marquise has been strained and public for years. A woman named Jahaira Rodriguez filed suit alleging physical assault, and in August 2025, a judge ordered 50's bankruptcy case reopened in connection with that claim. He settled a separate assault lawsuit just days before the documentary premiered. These details don't erase what the documentary exposed about Diddy, but they do complicate the idea of 50 Cent as a righteous truth teller. His argument was never that he was perfect. His argument was that the silence was worse than his flaws, and that nobody else in hip-hop had the platform, the resources, or the willingness to break that silence. The documentary presented 2 decades of alleged misconduct, piece by piece. Burroughs, the Bad Boy co-founder, alleged that Diddy forced Biggie to stay in Los Angeles the night of his murder in 1997 because Combs wanted to gloat and party on the West Coast. Aubrey O'Day, the former Danity Kane member, described reading an affidavit on camera that suggested she had been assaulted while incapacitated, telling the filmmakers, "Does this mean I was raped? I don't even know if I was raped, and I don't want to know." Audio from Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, currently in custody awaiting trial for Tupac Shakur's murder, played throughout the 3rd episode, offering his account of alleged meetings with Combs. 2 jurors spoke about how they reached the mixed verdict, with one older juror admitting he was confused by why Cassie kept returning to Combs after the abuse. Combs is currently serving time at FCI Fort Dix. His legal team is working an appeal, calling the sentence unconstitutional unconstitutional because the judge referenced coercion multiple times, despite the jury finding no coercion on the trafficking charges. A $100 million defamation lawsuit Combs filed against NBC Universal over a separate Peacock documentary remains pending. And in one final act of calculated trolling, 50 Cent chose to debut exclusive footage from the documentary on ABC's Good Morning America. Fans quickly pointed out that GMA is one of the few networks that plays on the common room televisions inside federal prisons, meaning Diddy himself could have watched it from behind bars. When someone online asked if that was intentional, 50 Cent replied on social media, "I thought about it. What's wrong with that?" What sits at the core of this entire story is a question that the documentary raised but deliberately left open. If Diddy had hundreds of people around him for 30 years, and if the allegations spanned dozens of accusers, and if over 3,000 people called attorneys with claims, then the system that allowed this to continue for so long didn't consist of one man. The enablers, the silent industry figures, the executives, the artists who attended the parties and said nothing afterward. The people whose names were conspicuously absent from the documentary, despite being asked to participate, they are all part of the answer to who is above Diddy. 50 Cent told GQ, "This is bigger than just me and him. It's about the truth coming out." Stapleton called the documentary a mirror, not just for Diddy, but for us, for how we treat fame, how we process allegations, and how we decide when to stop looking away. In December 2023, when the walls first started closing in, Diddy wrote 2 words on social media: "Enough is enough." Turns out he was right about that, just not the way he meant it.